भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति सुपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथानुतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your program. I'm quite fortunate to be here with all of you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for being available for us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have a question. So recently when Ganesh Chaturthi was there, a lot of people shared some quotations on Prabhupada writing in some books, like, some letters. If you like, you can pray to Ganapati for removing all impediments on the path of Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada writing in Nectar of Devotion, that one should begin the worship of the demigod Ganapati, who drives away all impediments in the execution of devotional service. And in this way, people are like writing about worshipping Ganesha. But as per my knowledge, that Prabhupada told that if you want to worship Lord Ganesha, you have to pay me $100,000 every month. And they both are contradicting. How do we understand, Prabhu?
How to understand? You was asked a direct question. Can we worship Ganesh? He said no. Why is it written in the Nectar of Devotion? Because the book is translated from Rupa Goswami. And at that time, in that part of India, people understand that worshipping demigod is actually worshipping them as part and parcel of Krishna. But nowadays, they don't know that.
Okay.
That's why worshipping of demigod is quite risky if you don't understand that they are also part of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing can become messed up, then you start, because as in the Bhagavad Gita 4:12, you know the verse.
Mm-hmm.
Someone want to show the screen now.
Yes, Prabhu.
Which one, Prabhu?
Bhagavad Gita 4:12. You can see.
Yes, Prabhu.
Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. Purport: there is a great misconception about the gods or demigods of this material world, and men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, take these demigods to be various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the parts and parcels are many. The Vedas say Nityo Nityanam, God is one, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The Supreme God is one, Krishna, and the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God, Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or partially. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods such as Brahma and Shiva Virinchinutam. Yet, curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Iha Devata denotes a powerful man or demigod of this material world. But Narayana, Vishnu, or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to material creation. Even Sripada Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results but do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness and he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods of this material world as well as their worshippers will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. In this world, however, human society is mad after temporary things, such as the material opulence of possessing land, family, and enjoyable paraphernalia. To achieve such temporary things, they worship the demigods are powerful men in human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore kowtowing to the so called leaders or big guns in order to achieve the temporary boons, and they indeed achieve such things. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardships of material existence. They're all after sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worship empowered living entities known as demigods. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity.
So, the worship of demigod, you can get very quickly material results, And people who are not advanced, they may misunderstand that. And then they can get all very much sidetracked from the original thing of surrendering to Krishna. That's why Prabhupada, when he brought Krishna consciousness to the West, he didn't want to mix up the demigod worship, because then you'll become like what happened to all the Hindus.
Yes, Prabhu.
They start thinking that everything is God. Krishna is one of the God. Hmm?
Mm.
And that's why the Indian people are not making advancement because they are mixed up.
Yes, Prabhu.
Understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
So he didn't want to get that all confusion into the movement. He was very careful in that sense. Only Krishna, nothing else. That's why also in the Bhagavad Gita 9:23, he said this is Krishna himself is saying this is done in a wrong way.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm?
Yes, Prabhu.
So see, it's very dangerous. The result you can see, Indians are classic example of demigod worship.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm?
And it's very difficult to preach Indians now.
Yeah, they are very contaminated, no? They think that all are God, no? Yeah?
Everywhere they build temples of all. Like even in Dubai last week, one new big temple was built, and they kept all demigods there along with Krishna.
Yeah. This is their understanding. If we can go, 1913 140 on now 138 like maybe 138 139 you can read.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, right, Prabhu?
SB,
Madhya
Huh?
Srimad Bhagavatam 19.
Canto?
Lila
No,
Oh,
Chaitanya.
sorry. Madhya Leela 19.
1913
113, Prabhu.
1313.
1.
read that tell you exactly where to read.
It's 113 or 213.
One 146
146, Prabhu. Yeah. Yeah.
can see that
Padyanim. Yeah, sure. Anyone wants
among
to?
human beings
Kirtan, I want to read.
Among human beings, those who are followers of the Vedic principles are considered civilized. Among these, almost half simply give lip service while committing all kinds of sinful activities against these principles. Such people do not care for the regulative principles. The word Veda means knowledge. Knowledge consists of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and our relationship with Him and acting according to that relationship. Action in accordance with the Vedic principles is called religion. Religion means following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vedic principles are the injunctions given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aryans are civilized human beings who have been following the Vedic principles since time immemorial. No one can trace out the history of the Vedic principles set forth so that man might understand the Supreme Being. Literature or knowledge that seeks the Supreme Being can be accepted as the bona fide religious system. But there are many different types of religious systems according to that place, the disciples, and the people's capacity to understand. The highest type of religious system is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6. Thus, savai pumsa parodharmo yada bhakti radokshuje. The highest form of religion is that by which one becomes fully conscious of the existence of God, his form, name, qualities, pastimes, abode in all pervasive features. When everything is completely known, that is the perfection of Vedic knowledge. The fulfillment of Vedic knowledge is systematic knowledge of the characteristics of God. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Vedescha sarvar aham eva vedya. The aim of Vedic knowledge is to understand God. Those who are actually following Vedic knowledge and searching after God cannot commit sinful activities. against the Supreme Lord's order. However, in this age of Kali, although men profess to belong to so many different kinds of religion, most of them commit sinful activities against the orders of the Vedic sutras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says here in Veda Nishiddha Papa Kare Dharma Nahingani. In this age, men may profess a religion, but they actually do not follow the principles. Instead, they commit all kinds of sins.
So you see, many of them are in this category.
Yes, Prabhu.
So do you want to encourage that?
No, Prabhu.
Yeah? Because demigod worship, especially when they think that Krishna is also one of the demigods, then you get big offense.
Right.
Hmm?
Yes.
Understand now?
Yes, Prabhu.
And those who worship demigod, especially if they think that Krishna and all the demigods are the same, they are considered as a pashandi.
Yeah.
I think this verse is there. Yes to Narayana Devam.
Brahma Daivadi.
Yeah, you can see. Can you get that verse out for me from the CC? Yeah?
Yes, Prabhu.
I think it is in 20 or 20 or. I don't have my iPad also here. I'm just using this phone.
Yes, Prabhu.
You just search for me. Yes to Narayana Devam in the
Madhya
CC.
Leela 18.116.
Huh? What?
Madhya Leela 18.116.
18.116. You can read 18.115.
Padyavali Mataji, you want to read? Kirti
Before you read that, you read the 18.116 verse. Huh?
116 first, Prabhu. Okay.
You read the verse and then you read the purport in 115.
Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivatai Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhavedruvam. A person who considers demigods like Brahma and Shiva to be on an equal level with Narayana is to be considered an offender and a Pashandi.
You see that? Can you read the purport in 115?
Yes, translation also, Prabhu?
Yeah.
A foolish person who says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the same as the living entity is an atheist, and he becomes subject to punishment by the superintendent of death, Yamaraja. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvatī Thakura says that the word Pashandi refers to one who considers the living entity under the control of the illusory energy to be equal with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material qualities. Another kind of Pashandi is one who does not believe in the spirit soul, the superior potency of the Lord, and therefore does not distinguish between spirit and matter. While describing one of the offenses against the chanting of the holy names, an offense called Shruti Shastra Nindana, blaspheming the Vedic literature, Jiva Goswami states in his Bhakti Sandarbha, Yatha Pashanda Margena Dattatreya Shava, Devopasakanam Pashandinam. Worshippers of impersonalists like Dattatreya are also Pashandis. Concerning the offense of Aham Mama Buddhi or Dehatma Buddhi, considering the body to be the self, Jiva Goswami states, Deva Dravinadi Nimittaka Pashanda. Shabdena cha dasha parada eva lakshyante pashanda mayatvat tesham. Those who are overly absorbed in the conception of the body and the bodily necessities are also called pashandis. Elsewhere in Bhakti Sandarbha, it is stated, Uddishya devata eva juhoti cha dadati cha sapashanditi vigneyaha Swatantro vapi karmasu. A Pashani is one who considers the demigods and the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be one. Therefore, a Pashandi worships any kind of demigod as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who disobeys the orders of the spiritual master is also considered a Pashandi. The word Pashandi has been described in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam, including 4.2.28, 30, 32, 5.6.9, and 12.2.13 and 43. On the whole, a Pashandi is a non devotee who does not accept the Vedic conclusions. In the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, there is a verse quoted from Padma Purana describing the Pashandi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse as the following text.
So you can see with the definition of a Pashandi.
Yes, Prabhu.
That's why Krishna says, when fools deride me when I come in this human form, they think I'm an ordinary person, no? Muda, correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can go Bhagavad Gita 9:11.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Avajananti mamuda manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Anyone want to read?
Hare Krishna, yes, I can. Go ahead, Mataji.
Go ahead.
Fools derive me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. Purport. From the other explanations of the previous verses in this chapter, it is clear that the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man, a personality of a Godhead who conduct the creation, maintenance, and inhalation of the complete cosmic manifestation cannot be a human being. Yet there are the many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely a powerful man and nothing more. Actually, he is the original Supreme Personality, as is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Isvara Parama Krishnaha. He is the Supreme Lord. There are the many Isvaras, controller, and the one appear greater than another. In the ordinary management of the affairs in the material world, we find some official or the director, and above him there is a secretary, and above him a minister, and above him a president. Each of them is a controller, but one is controlled by another. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the supreme controller. There are many controllers, undoubtedly, both in the material and the spiritual world. But Krishna is a supreme controller, Isvara Paramaha Krishnaha. His body is a Satchidananda, non material. Material bodies cannot perform the wonderful act described in the previous verses. His body is eternal, blissful, and full of a knowledge. Although he is not a common man, the foolish derived him and consider him to be a man. His body is called Yar Manushim, because he is acting just like a man, a friend of Arjuna's, politician, involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. In so many ways, he is acting just like an ordinary man. But actually, his body is Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge absolute. This is confirmed in the Vedic language also, Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of a Godhead Krishna, who is the eternal blissful form of the knowledge. There are the other description in the Vedic language also. Tam ekam Govindam. You are Govinda, the pleasure of the senses and the cows. Satchidananda Vigraham, and your form is a transcendental, full of the knowledge, bliss, and eternality. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, its full bliss and knowledge, there are many so-called scholars and commentators of the Bhagavad Gita who derive Krishna as an ordinary man. The scholar may be born as an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but this conception of Sri Krishna is due to a poor fund of the knowledge. Therefore, he is called Muda. For not only foolish person consider Krishna to be the ordinary human being because they do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of the complete knowledge and the bliss, and that he is a proprietor of everything that be and that he can award liberation to anyone because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications. They deride him, nor do they know that the appearance of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead in this material world is the manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material energy, as has been explained in the several places. Mama Maya Duratraya. He claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control, and whoever surrender unto him can get out of the control of his material energy. If a soul surrender to Krishna and can get out of the influence of the material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conduct the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the whole cosmic nature, have the material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot conceive that the personality of a Godhead Krishna, appearing just like ordinary man, can be the controller of all the atoms of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and the minest are beyond their conception, so they cannot imagine that the form like that of human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute, although although he is controlling the infinite and finite, he is apart from all these manifestation. It is clearly stated concerning his yogam Aiswaryam, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like the human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are the pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the supreme personality of a Godhead. Therefore, they completely surrender unto him and engage in a Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord. There are the many controversies amongst the impersonalist and the personalist about the Lord's appearance as the human being. But if we consult Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the authoritative texts of the understanding the science of Krishna, then we can understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of a Godhead. He is not an ordinary man, although he appear on this earth as an ordinary human. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, when the sages inquire about the activities of Krishna, it is stated that his appearance as a man bewilder the foolish. No human being could perform the wonderful act that Krishna performed while he was present on this earth. When Krishna appeared before his father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with the four hands. But after the prayers of the parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child. He appeared as the ordinary human being is one of the feature of his transcendental body. In the 11th chapter of the Gita, also it is stated, Taneva Rupena, etc. Arjuna prayed to see again the form of the four hands, and when Krishna was thus petitioned by Arjuna, he again assumed his original form. All these different features of the Supreme Lord are certainly not those of the ordinary human being. Some of those who derive Krishna, who are infected with the Mayavadi's philosophy, quotes the following words from the Srimad Bhagavatam to prove that Krishna is a just and ordinary man. Aham sarvesu bhutesu bhuta bhu, bhutat mavas stita sada. The Supreme is the present in every living entity. Bhagavatam 3.29.21. We should better take a note of these particular verse from the Vaishnava Acharya like a Jiva Goswami instead of following the interpretation of unauthorized person who derived Krishna. Jiva Goswami commenting on this verse says that Krishna in his planetary expansion as a Paramatma is situated in a moving and non-moving entity as the super soul. So any neophyte devotee whom simply give this attention to the Archamurti, the form of the Supreme Lord in the temple, and does not respect other living entity, is uselessly worshipping the form of the Lord in the temple. There are the three kind of the devotees of the Lord, and the neophyte is in the lowest stage. The neophyte devotee gives the more attention to the deity in the temple than to other devotee. So Jiva Goswami warns that this sort of the mentality should be corrected. A devotee should see that Krishna is present in everyone's heart as a Paramatma. Therefore, everybody is the embodiment or the temple of the Supreme Lord. As such, as one offers the respect to the temple of the Lord, he should similarly properly respect each and everybody in the whom the Paramatma dwells. Everyone should therefore be given a proper respect and should not be neglected. There are also many impersonalists who deride temple worship. They say that since God is everywhere, why should one restrict himself to temple worship? But if a God is everywhere, is he not in the temple or in the deity? Although the personalist and the impersonalist will fight with one another perpetually, a perfect devotee in a Krishna consciousness knows that although Krishna is the supreme personality, he is all pervading, as is confirmed in a Brahma Samhita. Although his personal abode is a Goloka Vrindavana and he is always staying there, still by his different manifestations of energy and by his plenary expansion, he is present everywhere in all parts of the material and spiritual creation.
You see how important it is to understand the exalted position of Krishna.
Yes.
And because the demigod worship will contaminate that position of Krishna.
Yes.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
That, this is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this, and the demigod worship is condemned. You can go 6:16:38.
Srimad Bhagavatam, right, Prabhu?
Srimad Bhagavatam 6:16:38.
You want to read?
Hare Krishna.
Kubbe.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I read?
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. O Lord, O Supreme, O Lord, O Supreme, unintelligent persons who thirst for sense enjoyment and who worship various demigods are no better than animals in human form of life. Because of their animalistic propensity, they fail to worship your lordship, and instead they worship the insignificant demigods who are but small spark of your glory. With the destruction of the entire universe, including the demigods, the benedictions received from the demigods also vanish, just like the nobility when a king is no longer in power. Purport: Bhagavad Gita 7.20 says, Kamesh te harita jnanaha prapadyante anya devata. Those whose mind are distorted by material desires surrender onto the demigods. Similarly, this verse condemns worship of the demigods. We may show our respect to the demigods. We may show our respect to demigods, but the demigods are not worshipable. The intelligence of those who worship the demigods is lost. Harita Jnanaha. Because these worshippers do not know that when the entire material cosmic manifestation is annihilated, the demigods, who are the departmental heads of the manifestation, will be vanquished. When the demigods are vanquished, the benediction given by gods to unintelligent men will also be vanquished. Therefore, a devotee should not hanker to obtain material opulence by worshipping the demigods, but should engage in the service of the Lord who will satisfy all his desire. Akamha sarva kamha va kamo va moksha kama udara dehi tivirna bhakti yogena yojita purusham param. Whether full of all material desires, free from material desires, or desiring liberation, a person who has broader intelligence must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 2.3.10. This is the duty of a perfect human being, one who has the shape of a human being but whose actions are nothing but those of an animal is called Nara Pashu or the Dvipada Pashu, a two-legged animal. A human being who is not interested in Krishna consciousness is condemned here with a Nara Pashu.
So you see, this is a very strong statement.
Yes,
Huh?
yes, Prabhu.
So it's not recommended at all, worshipping demigods. Yes,
Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
this is the problem, because when you do that, then you will minimize the position of Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Even you try to think Krishna as equal, in fact, is very bad. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes or not?
yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
That's why we don't recommend worshipping of these demigods, Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
So you see how important it is to follow. If we don't have a guru, that's what happening now. Most of them don't have a guru. They just do whatever they like, no? Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's the problem with the Hindu religion. Everybody, we never follow any rules, regulation, no guidance, how to love for God, you need a help, correct? They don't follow nothing. They just simply do whatever they like, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Correct? Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
In fact, one of the regulation is that one should not worship demigods. Madhya 22:119.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhu.
119. 22:119.
Yes, Prabhu. Going. Anyone want to read? Sham Prabhu?
Vishnu Vaishnava Ninda Gramya Varta na Suniba.
No, this one, this one. Translation.
Translation 15. The devotee should treat loss and gain equally.
Yeah.
16. The devotee should not be overwhelmed by lamentation. 17. The devotee should not worship demigods, nor should he disrespect them. Similarly, the devotee should not study or criticize other scriptures.
One of the injunction is that devotees should not worship demigods.
Prabhu, when it is mentioned that nor should he disrespect them, so like in what way, say for example, if we go to a temple by chance, we can just offer our obeisances and we understand that demigods are the part and parcels of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and in that respect we show respect. That's all right, Prabhu?
Yeah, you chant the prayers in the Brahma Samhita, Worship Ganesh is there, prayer. Worship Durgā, there's a prayer, worship of the sun, prayer. Worship of Shiva, the prayer, correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Learn all those prayers. When you go there, you chant the prayers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way you're not committing offense, no?
Yes, true. And if they give prasadam, we should not take that, right, Prabhu? Because nowadays in the temples, demigod temples, if we go for book distribution, it has become like from the restaurants, they order some lunch and they give, and we don't even touch, of course. We understand it is from restaurant and they have onion, garlic also. So,
Yeah, they don't know anything, no? They simply do all because of sense gratification, no? Yes?
yes, true.
Our problem is that they have no guidance, When we are knowing the facts and they expect us to do what they do, that's going to be difficult, no?
Yes, true.
So we must be careful not to get implicated, no? 19168.
Madhya Leela, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
The left side only expand and go down, it's easier.
No, that sometimes the verses are not complete. Go ahead, Prabhu.
A pure devotee must not cherish any other desire than to serve Krishna. He should not offer worship to the demigods or to mundane personalities. He should not cultivate artificial intelligence, which is devoid of Krishna consciousness, and he should not engage himself in anything other than Krishna conscious activities. One must engage all one's purified senses in the service of the Lord. This is the favorable execution of Krishna conscious activities.
Understand this?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So when you go to the demigod temple, you chant so many prayers, no? Kristi Siti Palaya Sadhana Sakti Eka Chaya Yasya Bhubadani Vibhati Durgā. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
So this prayer is there. Then for Lord Shiva, what is that? Tiram Yata Tadi Vikar Abhishek Yoga Sanjayate Nadutata. This is first,
Okay.
The Lord Shiva is like yogurt and Krishna is milk. From milk you get yogurt, but you cannot get from yogurt milk, in this way, the position of Lord Shiva, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So all these prayers are there. You learn this prayer, you go to the temple,
Yes, Prabhu.
and understand that they all are parts and parcel of Krishna.
Sure, Prabhu.
You didn't say you don't go there, but you go there, you bow down to everybody. Try what's wrong with bowing down to them. Understand them as also devotees are part and parcel of Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
So demigod worship is not recommended at all. You can do away with it, not that you have to worship them. Go to Krishna, then it is complete. There's no need to worship a demigod, the sage, that verse. You know the verse?
Which one, Prabhu?
You worship Krishna, you don't need to worship all the demigods and everything.
Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu, 7.21.
Bhagavad Gita, no? Bhagavatam.
Oh.
11.5. You know this verse?
Yes.
11.5. Check it out for you.
Yeah.
I think it's 42 or maybe. Yeah. Pages.
One who, Prabhu, you want to read?
One who has thus given up all other engagements and has taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very dear to the Lord. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone's heart, immediately takes away the reaction to such sin.
Oh, not this verse. You read Sanskrit with that.
Which one, Prabhu? Devarshi Bhutapta Nirnam, right? The previous verse, 31, yeah.
That verse.
Good.
O King, one who has given up all material duties.
What number is that?
What, Prabhu? Number 41.
11.5.41.
Yeah, 41.
O King, one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away. Since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons separately.
So people sometimes get very sentimental, today is Ganesh Chaturthi, maybe I should do some puja, and after all, he's also a very great personality, like that. So if a person is thinking like that, then it is not very proper, You understand?
That's true.
Because once you are worshipping Krishna, there's no need to do anything else, Because we bow down, not that we don't respect them, but we need to make special endeavor to do all kind of pujas for them. No? You understand?
Yes, true.
Is it clear? I think I've shown ample evidence.
Yes, true.
Huh?
Yes, true. Can we read this, Prabhu? Can we read this?
Should we read the purport?
Yeah, you can read the purport if you.
One who has not fully surrendered to the devotional service of the Lord undoubtedly has many material duties to perform. Every ordinary conditioned soul is the recipient of innumerable benefits given by the demigods, who provide sun and moonshine, rain, wind, food, and ultimately one's own material body. In Bhagavad Gita it is stated, Stena eva saha. One who does not reciprocate with the demigods by offering them sacrifice is Stena or a thief. Similarly, other living entities such as cows are providing us with innumerable delicious and nutritious foodstuffs. When we wake up in the morning, our mind is refreshed by the sweet singing of the birds, and on a hot day we enjoy the cool shade and breeze of the forest trees. We are accepting service from innumerable living entities, and we are obligated to repay them. Apta means one's own family members to whom one is certainly obligated according to normal morality, and Nirnam means human society. Until one becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is certainly a product of his society. We receive mundane education, culture, tradition, and protection from the society in which we live, and thus we owe a great debt to society. Of course, our debt to society is not simply to the present order, but to all of our forefathers and ancestors who carefully preserved moral and social customs so that we, their descendants, could live peacefully. Therefore, the word Pitranam or forefathers indicates our debt to previous generations. In fact, the members of the Krishna Conscious Society are sometimes criticized by material persons for giving too much attention to Krishna rather than working to fulfill all of the above mentioned obligations. In reply to this, Bhagavatam 4.31.14 states, Yata taror mula nishechanena triptyanti tatskanda bhujopashakaha. If one waters the root of a tree, automatically all the branches, twigs, leaves, etc. are also nourished. There is no need for nor any effectiveness in separately pouring water on the branches, twigs, and leaves of a tree. The water has to be placed on the root. Similarly, pranopaharācha yatendriyanam. Food must be placed in the stomach, from where it is automatically distributed to all of the limbs of the body. It is foolish to try to nourish the whole body by rubbing food separately on all the bodily limbs. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the source of all existence. Everything is emanating from Krishna, everything is maintained by Krishna, and at the end everything will merge to rest in Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the supreme benefactor, friend, protector, and well-wisher of every living entity. And if he is satisfied, then automatically the whole world will become satisfied, just as all the bodily limbs are strengthened and satisfied when food is duly remitted to the stomach. The example can be given that a man who is working as the personal secretary to a great king has no further obligation to petty minor kings. Undoubtedly, an ordinary person has many obligations within this material world, but according to Bhagavad Gita, Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan, it is actually the Supreme Lord who is giving all benedictions. For example, one receives one's one's body by the mercy of one's parents. However, sometimes we find that a particular man or woman may become impotent at a given moment. Sometimes a deformed child is born, and sometimes a child is born deaf. Often the sexual act fails to produce pregnancy at all. So, although all parents desire a beautiful, highly qualified child, this is often not the case. Thus, it can be understood that ultimately it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that the man and woman are able to produce a child by the sexual act. It is by the Lord's mercy that the man's seminal injection is potent and the woman's ovum is fertile. Similarly, it is only by the mercy of the Lord that the child is born in a healthy condition and reaches physical maturity to pursue his own life. If at any stage in the evolution of a human being the Lord's mercy is withdrawn, sudden death or crippling disease occurs. The demigods are also not independent. The word parihritya kartam, giving up other duties, indicate that one should give up any concept that the demigods are separate from Krishna. It is clearly stated in Vedic literature that the demigods are different limbs of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. Further, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart and that he only is giving intelligence and memory. Thus, our forefathers who carefully preserved cultural traditions were acting with intelligence provided by the Supreme Lord. They certainly were not acting with their own independent intelligence. No one can be intelligent without a brain, and it is only by Krishna's mercy that we receive a human brain. Therefore, if we carefully analyze all of our multifarious obligations toward different classes of living entities, we shall find that in each and every case it is ultimately by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we have received a particular benediction in life. So, although an ordinary person must methodically fulfill all of his various obligations by executing different types of sacrifices and charitable activities for the satisfaction of those who have benefited him, one who is directly serving the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna at once fulfills all such obligations, because all benedictions ultimately have come from the Lord through the agency of family, forefathers, demigods, etc. The example may be given that sometimes a state government may distribute benefits originally provided by the federal government. So one who becomes a personal secretary or minister to the chief executive of the federal government has no further obligation to the less important representatives of the state government. Therefore, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.9, as long as one is not satiated by fruitive activity and has not awakened his taste for devotional service by hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord, one has to act according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. The conclusion is that one who has fully surrendered to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord is a first-class human being. People in general are only eager to receive benedictions from demigods, family members, and society because such benedictions are conducive to material sense gratification. Less intelligent persons consider such material progress to be the only goal of life and thus cannot appreciate the exalted position of pure devotional service to the Lord. Bhakti Yoga, or pure devotional service, is meant to directly please the senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Envious materialistic persons propose various arguments to deny that the Supreme Lord even has transcendental senses. The devotees, however, do not waste time doubting the inconceivable beauty, strength, wealth, and geniality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but directly please the Lord's senses through loving service and thus receive the supreme benediction of going back home, back to Godhead. The devotees return to the Lord's abode, where life is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. No demigod, family members, or forefather can give one an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. However, if one foolishly neglects the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and instead accepts a temporary material body to be everything, then one must certainly perform elaborate sacrifices, austerities, and charity and fulfill all of the obligations mentioned above. Otherwise, one becomes completely sinful and condemned even from the material point of view. Jai.
You see how once you go to Krishna, then you don't have to do anything else. But if we Do all these other things and don't go to Krishna, then you will fall down.
Yes.
11.5.2. 11.5.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ekam Purusham Sakshat. What is the word? Go to
This different.
Sri Chamasa Uvacha Mukhabha.
Bahuru Padevya.
go to the next one.
Yeah, Yesham Purusham Sakshat.
Yeah, that's the one. You can read this.
If any of the members, anybody else wants to read?
Kirtana, I want to read.
Any of the members of the four Varnas and four ashramas fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead, who is the source of their own creation, they will fall down from their position into a hellish state of life. The words Navajanti in this verse refers to those who out of ignorance do not worship the Supreme Lord, whereas the word Avajananti refers to those who have actually been informed of the supreme position of the Lord but still show him disrespect. It has already been described that the four spiritual and occupational orders of life are generated from the body of the Lord. In fact, the Supreme Lord is the source of everything, as described in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Those who foolishly do not inquire into the position of the personality of Godhead, as well as those who disrespect the will of will certainly fall down from the Varnashrama Dharma system, as described by the words Stana Drishtataha. The words Patanti Adaha indicate that one who falls from the Varnashrama system will have no means of avoiding sinful activities, nor will such a person receive any credit for performing sacrifice, and thus he will gradually sink down into lower and lower species of life in hellish conditions. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that the original cause of offending the Lord and falling down from one's position is one's not learning how to properly worship a bona fide spiritual master. One who is trained to offer respectful obeisances and worship to the bona fide spiritual master automatically offers proper worship to the Supreme Lord. Without the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master, even a so called religious man will gradually become atheistic, offend the Lord by foolish speculation, and fall into a hellish condition of life. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Thakur has pointed out that the Purusha mentioned in his verse is Lord Garbhadakshay Vishnu, who is glorified in the Purusha Shukta prayers. If one is proud of his high social position and enviously thinks that the Lord is also a creation of nature and that there is no absolute entity who is the origin of all beings, then such a puffed up fool will certainly fall down from the Varnashra system and become just like an unregulated animal.
So you see, I've covered this thing that demigod worship are not in the same level as Krishna. It is not recommended. If you just worship demigods and think Krishna is an ordinary person, you are considered an animal. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
We have covered everything actually, and if you don't worship Krishna, you will fall down. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
And if you put him together with the demigod, you're considered as an atheist for something. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes? So in this way, I think we have covered everything already.
Yes, Prabhu.
Is it clear or you have any other doubts on this?
No, Prabhu. No. Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I have. You are saying something.
What?
Were you saying something, Prabhu?
Posted some in the chat, Prabhu.
When you don't have a spiritual master, you will consider an ordinary man as God and God as an ordinary man. Understand?
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
in India, all this thing is going on, So many guys are doing so many crazy things, But
Mm.
worshipping this Sai Baba, Ali Baba, so many Babas, Yeah?
Yes, true.
But Krishna, they don't worship. Correct?
Yes, true.
Right? What is there in the chat?
So in this Krishna book, chapter 52, it is mentioned in one of the purport, the description. Actually, a qualified Brahmana always sticks to his own duties and never accepts those of a Shudra or one less than a Shudra. It is advised in the authorized scriptures that a Brahmana may, under awkward circumstances, accept the profession of a Kshatriya or even a Vaishya, but never is he accept the profession of a Shudra. So my question is, um, we being in Krishna conscious, though we are neophytes, is we are working as a salaried person in under some in some company, right? So will that be counted as a Shudra? How do we understand that, Prabhu?
Actually, because a devotee, although he may go to work or whatever, because as a householder, you have naturally have to have some employment, no?
Hmm.
But if you offer your result to Krishna, then that's a different position. Just like Arjuna, he went to fight, no?
Hmm.
But he offered the service to Krishna. Yes?
Hmm.
So then he's not contaminated because he's giving it to Krishna.
Hmm.
So the moment you become a devotee of Krishna, then you transcend even the, so-called social orders,
Hmm.
because you are in the transcendental position. Although you may seem like working like a Kshatriya or Vaishya or whatever,
Hmm.
but because you're connected to Krishna, it is not the same.
Hmm.
You understand?
Okay, Prabhu.
Huh?
Got it, Prabhu.
So a devotee is beyond this auspicious, all this, what do you call it? Just now we read, no? The moment he surrendered to Krishna, he is no more obligated to anything, no?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Prabhu.
Devarshi.
All this Varnashram, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's why he said, I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not Vaishya, I'm not Shudra, I'm not Brahmachari, Sannyasi, whatever. What am I then? I'm a seven of the gopis who are serving Krishna. Yes?
Hmm.
You know, right, this verse?
Yes, true.
So the devotee's position is transcendental.
Hmm.
Although he may act like a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, whatever, but his position is transcendental.
Hmm.
You understand?
Okay, Prabhu.
That's why it says that one should not judge the devotee, thinking he is coming from a certain Vaishnava background, Vaishnava Jata Buddhi.
Hmm.
You follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
Whatever needs to be done for serving Krishna, the devotee does it. He doesn't care. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
Devotee never say, oh, this is a job of Sudra, I cannot do this. No. Cleaning the temple or doing, anything. The devotee does that for pleasure of Krishna.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that part is clear, Prabhu. We're only worried about we working in the material world as salaried people.
yeah, you have to get money, but if you employ that money in Krishna's service, then it's different, no?
Hmm.
But if you take the money and use it for your own sense gratification, then yeah, you come under the rules of the Varnashram system. You
Hmm.
act like a Brahmin, you act like a Vaishya, you like a Shudra. But in Kali Yuga, everybody is Shudra, no?
Hmm.
Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
Uh, Like us now, we are all also Brahminical because we are preaching, correct?
Hmm.
But we are preaching Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's a difference, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, the ordinary Brahmin may preach about the importance of some demigod or this or that, do this puja, do that puja, all this kind of thing. But we don't do that, no?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
A
Prabhu.
Vaishnava is even higher than a Brahmana, no?
Hmm.
A Brahmana may not become a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is but is automatically a Brahmana.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's why we are, in a different position, transcendental.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always don't see ourselves like that. But now, whatever we want, we need to do for Guru and Krishna, we do that.
Hmm.
Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
The Guru has asked to go out and sweep the floor. That is what Sudra job, no?
Hmm.
But we are doing because Guru has ordered us. Correct?
Hmm.
Understand?
Right, Prabhu.
Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Ah. But this is how we should see it. Not that we have to. Now I cannot do the job of a Sudra. No, I cannot. I am now Brahmin. I will do Brahminical job. Like that they start. Can it be a problem,
Hmm.
Correct?
Hmm.
Yes?
Yeah, in devotional service, no job is bigger than the other job, right? Everything is equal.
Yeah. Because we are doing it for Krishna. That's the difference.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
Anything else?
One more question, Prabhu. In Krishna book, next chapter 53, it says Goddess Durga has four famous children, two daughters, the goddess of fortune Lakṣmī, the goddess of learning Sarasvatī, and two sons, Lord Gaṇeśa and Lord Kārttikeya. So it was a little bit confusing. Goddess of fortune Lakshmi is daughter of goddess Durga, is it?
No. This Lakshmi is an expansion of Durga. The real Lakshmi, she is Vishnu Tattva.
Oh,
Understand? You can read the purport of 5:18:22, I think. Can you read?
Yes, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu. Anybody wants to read?
O Supreme Unconquerable Lord, when they become absorbed in thoughts of material enjoyment, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as well as other demigods and demons, undergo severe penances and austerities to receive my benedictions. But I do not favor anyone, however great he may be, unless he is always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Because I always keep you within my heart, I cannot favor anyone but a devotee. In this verse, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, clearly states that she does not bestow her favor on any materialistic person. Although sometimes a materialist becomes very opulent in the eyes of another materialist, such opulence is bestowed upon him by the goddess Durga Devi, a material expansion of the goddess of fortune, not by Lakshmi Devi herself. Those who desire material wealth wealth, worship Durga Devi with the following mantra: Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, Rupapati Bhajam Dehi. O worshipable Mother Durga Devi, please give me wealth, strength, fame, a good wife, and so on. By pleasing Goddess Durga, one can obtain such benefits, but since they are temporary, they result only in Maya Sukha, illusory happiness. As stated by Prahlad Maharaja, Maya Sukhaya Baram Udvahato Vimudan. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.43. Those who work very hard for material benefits are Vimudas, foolish rascals, because such happiness will not endure. On the other hand, devotees like Prahlad and Dhruv Maharaj achieved extraordinary material opulences, but such opulences were not Maya Sukha. When a devotee acquires unparalleled opulences, they are the direct gifts of the goddess of fortune who resides in the heart of Narayana. The material opulences a person obtains by offering prayers to the goddess Durga are temporary. As described in Bhagavad Gita, Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpam vedasam. Men of meager intelligence desire temporary happiness. We have actually seen that one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvatī Thakura wanted to enjoy the property of his spiritual master, and the spiritual master, being merciful toward him, gave him the temporary property, but not the power to preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. That special mercy of the power to preach is given to a devotee who does not want anything material from his spiritual master, but wants only to serve him. The story of the demon Ravana illustrates this point. Although Ravana tried to abduct the goddess of fortune Sita Devi from the custody of Lord Ramachandra, he could not possibly do so. The Sita Devi he forcibly took with him was not the original Sita Devi but an expansion of Maya or Durga Devi. As a result, instead of winning the favor of the real goddess of fortune, Ravana, his whole family were vanquished by the power of Durga Devi, Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha.
And here that the two children, Lakṣmī and Sarasvatī, they are spent like Maya Sita.
Yes, true.
The original Lakṣmī, she is Vishnu Tattva, Just like Krishna, he has nothing to do with demons, no? So Lakshmi also will not deal with all these materialistic people. Understand?
This is such a wonderful verse, Prabhu, which I never understood that. Now, after you explained, it is so clear.
You know the four children now?
What, Prabhu? Which one?
There's four children of Durga, you understand, right?
Yes, Prabhu, now we understand.
And what about Goddess Saraswati?
She is actually knowledge, seed, frequency. Has the three energies, Sambit, Sammoham, and Nadani, correct?
So Goddess Saraswati is only in the material world, right?
Goddess Saraswati is knowledge, material knowledge, coming from Durga,
Hmm.
There's Paravidya and Aparavidya, Transcendental knowledge and material knowledge. Correct? So these karmis who want to worship Saraswati for material benefit,
Prabhu, your voice is breaking, Prabhu.
he is worshipping anyone who worship the demigod Saraswati for material knowledge, and that comes from Durga. Whereas Saraswati, she is only giving transcendental knowledge, no? You understand?
Yes, Prabhu. Got it.
Yeah? Just like Lakshmi, Saraswati also the same. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
So if you want some material knowledge, then it comes from Durga. Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
If you want transcendental knowledge, then yeah, You will get it directly from Sarasvatī. She is actually transcendental.
But isn't Goddess Saraswati a wife of Lord Brahma?
Yeah, just like Sarasvatī, yeah, she is supposed to be Gayatri or something. Expansion of,
Hmm.
So that Sarasvatī that is worshipped by, the wife of Brahma,
Hmm.
she is also, I can only speculate, must be material, no?
Hmm.
Mode of passion,
Hmm.
correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
The original Saraswati is an expansion of Krishna and some bit internal potency.
Hmm.
Yes?
Okay. So the original
Understand?
Saraswati is also a Vishnu Tattva, is it?
Of course, what? She is the internal potency, no?
Okay. Got it. And now it's
Just like Srimati Radharani is Ladini Shakti, she is also internal potency.
Hmm.
Eternality, Stambit, Sammon, and Ladini.
Ladini.
So, Satchit Ananda, no? The Lord is Satchit Ananda, no?
Hmm.
So, how can it be anything material? Huh?
Okay.
If Krishna's energy are part of him, how can that energy become part of Maya? Does it make any sense?
No, Prabhu.
Huh?
No.
Got it. Understood.
Ah. So whatever material is manifesting from material energy, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
From the modes of material nature. These three qualities, Sat, Chit, Ananda, they are transcendental, in the spiritual world, these three energies are there. But in the material world, they manifest themselves as mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So how they manifest themselves in the mode? They come from Durgā.
Okay.
You follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
Whereas their original form in the spiritual world, they are internal potency of the Lord.
Hmm.
They got nothing to do with Maya,
Hmm.
You follow?
Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm.
And the two sons, Lord Gaṇeśa and Lord Kārttikeya, they are only in the material world, right?
They are only in the material. No, this Ganesh
Hmm.
is getting his power from, the Lord is Vishwaksena,
Mm-hmm.
who is an expansion of, Krishna.
Oh.
So in the spiritual world, it is Vishwaksena. In the material world, it is Ganesh.
Oh. Okay.
You follow?
Okay, Prabhu. Is it true for all the demigods? Like they say Mukoti demigods, right?
All these demigods are actually been produced by the, the super soul, Sarvodasti Vishnu. They manifest all these energies one by one. And a particular demigod in charge of that is manifested also. Right? For example, the power to create. Yes, then Lord Brahma manifests himself. Yes?
Hmm. No, I mean, do they have a spiritual equivalent in the spiritual world?
I don't think the demigods have anything to do in the spiritual world except they're getting strength from the spiritual personality,
Oh, okay.
Understand? Not that the demigod have got a spiritual form. There's no such thing,
Hmm.
So you meant Vishwaksena from Krishna's expansion, Vishwaksena, Lord
Yeah.
Ganesha
So
getting energy, health,
Ganesh, in
strength.
order to clear obstacle, he worshipped Vishwaksena. You take out that verse, from the Brahma Samhita, Ganesh, in order to get the power to clear obstacles, he's putting his kumbha, Inidaya kumbha, on the lotus feet of the Lord. Yes?
Mhm.
Hmm.
So whose feet is he putting on? He's putting on Vishwaksena. Sometimes it is also said that he's placing his kumbha on Narasimha's Dev's
Yeah,
feet.
that also we heard. He is the expansion of Narasimhadev, they are saying.
Not extension of Narasimha. He is worshipping the Lord.
Okay.
Understand? Ganesh is not an expansion, no. He's a demigod.
Hmm.
You follow?
Hmm.
Huh?
So is it more like a disciple of Lord Narasimhadev?
Like that, yes.
Hmm.
Ganesha, you can become a Ganesh, no.
Hmm.
But you cannot become Vishwaksena or Narasimhadev. It's not possible, no.
Hmm.
You understand?
Okay, so they basically get the strength from the spiritual entity
Yeah.
living
They are
entity.
material. Demigods are material.
Hmm.
All Christians, any soul can become one of them, but not they cannot become extension of the Lord. That's not possible, you know.
Okay.
Spirit souls cannot, they are although part and parcel of the Lord, but they are not the Lord, no.
Hmm.
That Mayavadis believe like that they become God, no.
Yes, Prabhu.
We don't accept that statement, no. Eternally we are part and parcel of the Lord, no.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, Prabhu, got it.
be clear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any other questions?
Eh, Anybody else? Any questions? Mataji's, Manu Prabhu.
Thank you so much for enlightening us, Prabhu.
Hey Krishna, Dhammosvaram Sundar Gopal Prabhu. Thank you for the association.
Oh, Manu is there. Okay, good.
Uh,
Any question?
Prabhuji, sometimes I have some realizations and everything, but I'm not too sure if I should write it down because would realizations for a neophyte, would it sometimes be mistaken for speculation?
That's why you have to check with someone who knows the scriptures, you know. You know, if you have your realization and then, you know, it is in accordance with the scripture, then yeah, it's okay. But if your realization is something else, that I realize that I become God, then then something.
I get a realization that I can drink coffee.
Realize. You understand?
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
So you check your realization with the advanced devotee or senior devotee. They'll be able to guide you. That way you are safe, no?
Yes. Yes. Very much so, Prabhu.
So because you do not know whether it is a realization or a mental speculation. So that's why that's why the scripture is the base, no?
It is.
Whatever we are speaking, we must back up with scriptural evidence. Otherwise, it can also end up as my speculation, correct? Especially when we're speaking about demigod worship, Indians, you know, will not like it. They will think that we are speculating. So we have to show you all the evidence.
Yes.
That's 100% true.
So that's how we prove our point, no? Otherwise, these guys will think that no, this is your book, this is your speculation. In our belief that we believe everything is all equal. They can, the Mayavad, they speak like that, you know. That's why we have to quote the acharyas, we have to quote the Shastra, we have to quote Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
So the Mayavadis, that's why it says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the Mayavadis all are offenders, Mayavadi Krishnere Aparadi,
Mm.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that. Because they're teaching all kind of crazy things. Their intention is stolen by Maya, Maya Paharta Gyan. Huh?
Mm.
Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's 100% correct, Prabhu.
Not only the Maya, all these guys, the Christians and the Muslims and all, they all are big speculators, all of them.
I 100% agree, Prabhu. Actually, I was having a conversation with a Christian when I was doing flyer distribution for Radhasami, and first the Christian, he was saying, "Oh well, Krishna, he did some sort of moham or something, right?" And so I didn't know what he was talking about. So I told him, "What's the verse?" So he was talking about a sloka in 10th canto, chapter 8, something. He didn't even give the verse. He said, "This is where it says, like Krishna has done this, this, this." And so I told him, give me your number, and then I'll continue talking, right? So I looked up the verse that he was trying to tell me, and I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything like that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then I told him, he's like, "Oh well, just give me the link to where you're finding this book, and then I'll find the verse." I gave him the link. It was the Prabhupada Bani book collection, and he never found it. He came up with the verse by himself.
The problem, they all speculate or they heard from somebody, all nonsense, That's why Prabhupada is so kind to give us the book, no? Somebody can, what we say, hoodwink us, because we can always check the facts. So we should always check with our scriptures because our mind can always lead us astray, You know what I mean? Sometimes we think that we are so advanced, we have become a devotee, we are following principles and this and that. Look at all these karmis, they're rascals, they're eating beef, they're going to hell. So when we start thinking like this, the mind takes us to become very proud, no?
Yes.
You understand? So therefore we have to be very careful, how to keep the mind always under control. Even though we are taken up the spiritual process, there's every room for the mind to play so many tricks on us. Why we have to sharpen our intelligence by reading the scriptures. So once we get spiritual knowledge, then we can easily tackle the crazy mind, If you don't have knowledge, then you will be swayed away.
Yes.
Then the fall down is inevitable.
Yes, Prabhu.
Correct?
Correct, Prabhu.
So we have to be careful though.
Yes, Prabhu.
That's why our whole philosophy is to neglect the mind. We never take the mind in any form of, we don't give credit to it, We don't say, oh, my mind said to me. That is finished. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Right, we don't speculate. There's no room for speculation. Any other questions?
How are you, Sundar Gopal?
I think all your prayers have saved me,
No, it's mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna.
Many people die out of a heart attack, some or other. Krishna gave me a little more time, I guess.
Krishna, very merciful.
I am given a second birth to be with all of you again by your sincere prayers.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
looking forward to the day when I can come to America,
Hare Krishna.
The fortunate souls, Prabhu. The land is on.
I think I will come, definitely.
Sure, Prabhu. We are waiting. We are eagerly waiting.
Again,
Yes, Prabhuji, and we are very happy to see you healthy, and it's really enlightening. Like today, after so long, feel like it's been a as Mataji said before, it's been a year. Seems like
very
we
nice.
were really waiting, eagerly waiting for this session.
Yes, we have. I mean, definitely I'd like to come. Let's see when Krishna will arrange that.